Well, that'll just about do it for your 2020 American League Central race. Twins lose today, 4-3. Lose the series in Chicago to the White Sox, 3-1. And now they are buried. They will have no chance, basically, to win the Central because they're 4 back in the loss column, and they won't have the tiebreaker over the White Sox, so they're essentially 5 back. Might as well be considered 5 back. And there's only like 8 or 9 games left anyway, so that'll do it. And, of course, to make matters worse is they're almost locked in to having to play the Yankees in the playoffs again. We'll get to that later when it becomes official, but, I mean, they're going to get swept by the Yankees if that happens. But as for this series, biggest series of the year, what a shock. They pull almost a complete no-show, except for a couple guys. Byron Buxton had a fantastic series. Should have had home runs in every single one of the games. Hit a couple today. A couple of the starting pitchers, held up, and they had a couple bullpen guys who did all right. Trevor May had a really good outing today. Same old shit though. Lineup does not get it done. What was 3 today, 5. So what's the math? I should have done this before I started. Like 11 or 12 runs in 4 games. Like, I thought they turned a corner. They looked like they had kind of figured it out. Lineup had kind of figured it out. They hit Cleveland around pretty good, but then they go to Chicago and they just do nothing other than Buxton and an at bat here or there. But of course, it's the same old thing. They can't score a fucking run unless the ball's going over the fence. So. It's like, it helps to just kind of know at this point that they're just not that good. They're not. They're a playoff team, but they're not gonna make a run. Even if somehow they avoid the Yankees in the first round, they're not going on a run. They're not. I wanted them. I desperately wanted them to at least win a playoff game this year, because that streak goes back to 2004. It's absurd. They're the laughingstock of baseball with that losing streak. And I thought, okay, at least that can happen this year. That's not going to happen if they play the Yankees. Maybe if they end up, I think the only other team they could possibly play at this point would maybe be Tampa, and that's only if Tampa really collapses here in the last week and a half, and their schedule's pretty easy, so it's unlikely. But they're not even going to win a fucking playoff game. And you know what? They're not good enough to. They're just not good. This lineup, they've just been so inconsistent for like over 50 games now. They're not going to get any better. They're just not. They might pop up for a series like they did against Cleveland, but you can't count on them this year. You just can't. I mean, Cruz has been amazing. Buxton has been superb now, but you got a couple of individuals who have been really pulling their weight. But then you look at game after game after game, they're struggling to even score 4, 5, 6 runs. It's just, their pitching's held up. I mean, their pitching was pretty good in this series. I mean, even today they didn't blow it because of the bullpen. They blew it because Kepler screwed up the easiest fucking throw you'll ever see, and that led to 2 runs that won the game. And they kind of melted down the second game of the series with Dobnak, and of course he got shipped back to St. Paul, so probably seen the last of him. But like the pitching is good enough to do something in the playoffs. They are, but the lineup is not. The lineup is they're just choke artists. They just are. They're not clutch. They have a lot of talent, but they just choke. Like late in games, as soon as that game went 4-3 today, you knew it was over because they can't come back. They've only got maybe 1 or 2 comeback wins, like late inning comeback wins all year. Like if they're not front running and leading early in a game, it's over. But yeah, today makes it more or less official. It'll probably become completely official, maybe even this weekend. So yeah, the Twins will not repeat as division champs. They'll get in the playoffs. I mean, their magic number is like 3 coming into today, so they may be in the playoffs by the end of the weekend, but they're not going to be in the playoffs long. They're probably going to be swept out, probably by the Yankees. You know, if they end up playing Tampa, they got a shot to maybe win that series, but I wouldn't bet on it. They're just not good. They're just not good enough. Maybe next year they'll be good enough, but they sure as hell aren't this year.